Alright, I am right back from where I stopped the last video. It just was at 20-some minutes or something. And I still feel like I can talk more or something, or that I don't mind sitting in front of the camera talking a little bit. Whether it's boring or not, I don't know. But what's most important to me about this, what I'm doing here, is that it's real. You know, so many things are changing now with AI and stuff. Who knows? Maybe I'll have one of the few real channels left if I keep this going. I got to figure something out though. I got to figure out somehow to keep it going, because pretty soon I won't even be able to go to the library, and I'm worried about my phone not having that and that getting shut off, and then I'd make it even harder to do stuff. I don't know. I need to kind of quit thinking about it and relax my mind and try to figure it out after tomorrow. That's what I've been trying to tell myself. But with the news I've had, the day I had yesterday is kind of hard, you know, with just more tough stuff happening. And I don't know. There's other stuff that happened that I'm not ready to talk about yet, because I don't know. Other news I got that I don't know if I can classify it. It's not good news, but it's not. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not yet, so until I know, I don't need to talk about it. I had a feeling it probably well could be, but so back to my current depression that I'm trying to keep walking through here, which is situational depression. You know, even though I've been getting walloped quite a bit, well, in the last few years I've really been getting life's really been kicking the tar out of me. And then the last couple months here, it's really been tough just because of Minnesota winter. And with everything else on top of it, you know, I just can't even believe unemployment was denied from the get-go, and that I keep fighting for that. See, if I would already had that, I wouldn't have lost my checking account or nothing. There's so many things that wouldn't have happened if I would have got my unemployment. Well, I've been still looking for work. You know, I'm not just a lazy loaf or nothing. But I shouldn't have been denied that. And had I not been denied it, I wouldn't have lost my storage units or my checking account. I wouldn't be stressing about keeping my phone going and stuff. But there ain't no changing it. It happened. It is what it is. I got to deal with it. I got to keep stepping forward. You know, and I know whining and moaning about it don't make it better, and maybe it helps me vent a little to talk about it, you know. But I know it's going to get better. I ain't mad at God, because I know there's a reason for it all. It's very frustrating, you know. But if I knew the reasons or when it's getting better and stuff, that would kind of defeat the purpose of my faith, right? You know. I had another thing. I'm gonna try to make a short video on. I've been trying to save some pictures off the internet that I'm going to talk about. It's kind of a what if idea, you know. When my brain starts thinking like philosophically or scientifically, which is totally secondary, thirdary, if that's a word. Anyway, to God, it's, you know, God is always, and God and my faith are number one. That's never going to change. But I still have an open mind, and just because I know God exists and is real, doesn't mean that there's not, that we can't still, that science isn't still science, you know, because, you know, all the things God has created, science is just another way of studying all these creations and learning, you know. So, and I got to see I don't know if I talked about it in one of my videos or not, but I got to see a really cool documentary about where Moses split the Red Sea. I remember when I was a kid in the 70s or something like that. I remember some scientist or something saying something about, there could be a fault line there, and if there's a fault line there, an earthquake, you know, that could have caused it to make it seem like the sea was splitting, you know, like if the land split open or something and the sea started dumping in there, you know, or whatever, which then you would have, I thought that maybe back then I used to think it must have had to have a double split then, so it could pour in here and pour over here and they could get across, you know. And but it still doesn't mean God didn't create that earthquake, you know. So science, because back then in the 70s, I think they were trying to use that theory to like disprove that God existed or something, and that just went right over my head even as a young kid. That, well, that doesn't mean God probably made that earthquake, you know. You know, so that don't prove nothing, you know. Well, anyway, this documentary I seen, it was really cool. Seeing the scuba divers going down there, unless it was, I don't think it was AI though, because there's, I guess this guy in the 70s, I forget his name now, but he had already done some scuba and down there too, and found the chariot wheels and stuff, you know, remnants of the chariot wheels and chariots and stuff, and the one I watched the other day, and I think it was filmed with real cameras, you know, I mean, but now I don't know because AI is so much, but pretty sure it was real. And so I'm thinking about doing seeing if I can kind of take some clips from here and there and do a little short documentary about it, or about that documentary. And there's this like bedrock kind of bridge underneath the Red Sea at a certain level that is like a bridge that goes right out across to the other side of the Red Sea, but then on that bridge it just drops down way deeper on each side, and that is where all these chariot wheels and stuff are. So it just really was bending my brain about the Red Sea getting split and all the people crossing there and being underwater, seeing that. It just made me imagine back in time, you know, all the people that are going across that thing. Well, the water's either dumping down underneath that bridge, or who knows how it happened. I don't know. Maybe, you know, I mean, if I look at it scientifically, which doesn't negate God at all, because God could have done any of those things. If it was like if I say a really big meteor, like, you know, like the size of the moon, or maybe smaller, something like that, went close to the earth, the gravitational pull on that could have drew water, just like the high and low tides. It could have drew water to the other end of the Red Sea, which would have caused that end to go down, which would have brought that bridge up out of the water, and they could have crossed that way or something, you know, I don't know. But the way it's described in the Bible is that he split the sea. So, I don't know. I'd have to see the terrain more and stuff, I don't know. But none of it negates God. But it was really cool to see anyway. I'm babbling on about stuff. Where are we at here? Close up on Darren. 8 minutes in. 8:40 actually, or 8:44. I don't know how I got on that, but because of the other thing I'm thinking about doing. I got off talking about the real thing, and I was going to talk about what ifs, about my mind being open to science and philosophy and stuff too. And I remember when I was younger, I got thinking about how these aren't beliefs of mine; they're just what ifs. You know, and I don't know how and maybe it could be, or it's a what if that maybe could be, but doesn't take God out of the equation at all. I remember saying to people, because I had this crazy idea one time, I started thinking about how a cell has a nucleus, you know, before we're born, you know, and once the sperm fertilizes that cell and the nucleus in there, and then how it goes, splits from one cell to two cells, and then 2 cells to 4 cells, and 4 cells to 8, and then 8 to 16, you know, and that's how we start growing. But that cell, it starts with a cell and a nucleus. Well, then I got thinking about how the Earth has a core in it, kind of like cell has a nucleus. Well, the core would be the nucleus of the Earth. And then I started thinking about other planets that have cores and stuff. And I started thinking about all these planets throughout the universe being all these cells. And I started thinking, wow, what a trip. Wouldn't it be weird if we're just a bunch of microorganisms on a cell inside of God's body? And when I thought about that, I was like, wow. So I told some people about it, and a lot of people did. They thought the same way with me. They're like, wow, that's something to think about, Just as a what if. Like I said, I ain't saying that's what it is, but it was a different philosophical or what if kind of journey to go on. So I thought I'd share it with you. What do you think of that? I said it's not like that's my belief, but it's just a what if. Kind of like when you're trying to figure something out, you start coming up with all these different ideas. Well, what if it's this way? What if it's that way? Blah, 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 Dad. It's probably good for me, though. I'm glad that it's got me talking and at least joking around or laughing a little bit, because I've had a really drawn out last 24 hours or more. It's been really, except for when I'm sleeping. Then I didn't notice it. I don't know if I had good dreams or not. I had a hard time kind of sleeping last night because I got some news from one of my friends that, well, something I'm not talking about yet because I don't know if it's true or not, but because he didn't know if it was true, but something he heard, and I'm like, well, I ain't heard nothing like that, so we'll see though. So try not to get all thinking that's a real deal until it's confirmed or something. I don't know. But if it is true, it's something else for me to think about. I don't know. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This one will probably be a daytime video yet because it's like we got enough light here, but 4:30, I think we're gonna have to cut this one short pretty soon in 12 minutes, huh? And take a break, and so I could make another 12-minute one maybe. I don't know if I got much more to talk about. Yeah, I guess we'll stop this one here and I'll try again and see what happens, huh? If it's no good, I can toss it, right? Well, I got a question for you. My next one, if if I think it's boring or something, or I didn't have much to say, should I toss it or put it up anyway? What do you think? Make a comment. I found a reason for somebody to make a comment. Maybe I'll come up with some more. Well, thanks again. God bless you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.